What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another RX-7 video. In this video we're going to be cleaning up the floor in the RX-7, and we're going to be doing something that I never wanted to do to this car. I'm going to end up cutting the floor out, leaving the trans tunnel, just cut the floor in a rectangle on both sides just so it's easier to do the bars and whatnot. It's going to speed up the process really fast, and I'll just use a Sawzall, cut it out, and then just stitch weld it back in. Just keep the floor, stitch weld it back in, and then caulk the rest of it. Should be fine, should be all good to go. So we are starting with removing the sound deadening. It's actually coming up pretty easy without dry ice. So we've just been smacking it with a hammer, and it's been coming out in like big chunks like this. It's probably because the floor is so flimsy. I don't know if the transmission tunnel stuff will come off, but that's okay for now. So we're just gonna go ahead and do both sides really quick. Got my grandpa here visiting from Iowa. He's gonna help me. Today we already stripped the dash out and everything. Is really easy to take. I've already taken this off before, so it's already bare bones, so it's easy to just take like the skeleton of it off and leave this, so that way I can bend the bars to fit, and then I can notch the dash, so that way the dash can come back out and I can get the bars to fit nicely. So got a lot of work to do today, so let's get to it. Okay, so we got one side out. I'm gonna cut this one out. So the cuts aren't perfectly straight, but it's all good. We'll fix it later on, but let's make it a lot easier to get to the actual cage and the bars. So all kinds of fun, nothing like cutting up your nice RX-7. So got this one almost out, just gotta finish up cutting it.
Time out. I gotta get over here. Huh? Oh, shit, you shot the sparks right at it.
And I shot the sparks right at you, huh?
Well, no, I was worried about the camera.
Oh, it's okay. She's out. She actually does have some rust to her up in here. So.
You got a mouse nest there?
I don't know what that is. Well, we've got a Flintstone car now. We can do some Flintstone racing. Right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Now we just got to raise it back up on the lift and tack the bottom bar back up, and then we'll push it back off the lift and bring it back over to our side and see what we need to do for making the bars that go across and whatnot. Alrighty, so yesterday we got the floor cut out. Didn't get much done other than that. We were busy yesterday, but now I should be able to do the door bars and everything else, and the down bars way simpler, and it should make dropping this down and welding it way easier just because the floor is out of the way. Did go ahead and get this like main hoop bar that goes across on there, because when I do cut the tacks off the bottom of this, it springs open, so this is gonna hold it in place. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the tacks on the main hoop at the bottom, and then take it out and build the rest of the funny car stuff, and then put the main hoop back in. Okay, so yesterday we made quite a bit of progress. We didn't start until late afternoon, but nonetheless we did get quite a bit of this done. As you can see, we got the back part of the funny car hoop done. So we got the lower crossbar that goes across the main hoop done, and then we got the other bars that go into it. So now the next thing we're going to be working on, well actually now I need to pull it back out. It's not tacked in, it's just sitting on the floor, but I just need to pull this out and weld it all. And then the next thing we'll be doing is working on the halo. That'll go from the main hoop over to here, up and around back to the other side of the halo, and then we'll be working on the down bars that come down. So those are the plans for today. I'm going to pull this main hoop out really quick. Let's get to welding. Also, I did have a couple people asking about kind of my settings on the welder. So this is a Fronius Magic Wave 230i now. If you are a welder, you probably know about this machine. It's a very nice machine, very high end. Definitely, I would say a little bit better than the Dynasty. not gonna say why. I just feel like, I don't know. You'd have to run one of these units to actually tell. But, so I was welding the chromoly at 135 amps using the foot pedal. Some of the joints needed more, normally not really. The nice thing about this machine, so we'll go into the menu here. This thing has a lot of functions. So one cool thing that it has is this pulse frequency and this pulse setup. So you can go like crazy, but what this does is this pulses this really fast, but not too fast to where it makes a crazy annoying noise, but fast enough to where it helps control the width of the puddle. And it just kind of helps, like if you ever weld on something that's kind of weird and not all the way clean, the puddle will get kind of squirrely on you. And this helps with that. It kind of tightens it up. So I was welding with the pulse frequency on 75 Hertz. And like you can go crazy. Like this thing will go up to like, I think like 10,000. Yeah, 10,000 Hertz. Which like is a terrible noise, but you can do it. I don't know why you'd ever use it, but you can definitely do it. So I just leave this at 75, and then this Pulse Pro thing, background current 50%, duty cycle 50%, waveform sinus. Waveform sinus, I just left it on what it came with. You could probably mess with these, but this works pretty good. That way there's not any weird on and off. You can't even tell it's pulsing. It just does make a little weird hum kind of. Kind of reminds me of like the AC frequency when you're welding aluminum. But this thing has a lot more functions anyways. I just want to show you guys that higher pulse frequency helps stabilize the puddle a lot, especially on this chromoly. On this chromoly, I've noticed that for some reason the puddle is not very stable, and it's probably just because it's not super clean. And then on the backside too, if you do penetrate all the way through or you pick anything up from the backside, it makes the puddle weld all nasty, and mild just kind of welds like crap anyways. So that helps out a lot, helps make it way more stable. So also I'm running a number 12 cup. It's this SPW number 12. Works really good. It's big enough to where you can stick the tungsten out quite a bit. Like I can stick it out probably twice that. And then I have it on about 25 to 30 CFH. It does waste a little bit more gas, but it's not bad. And yeah, helps get into some joints. These ones, so like right here, I'm gonna have to stick the tungsten out quite a bit. I'll show you guys that actually, because I know some people ask like, how do you get into some of those joints? I'll show you guys how far you can stick the tungsten out with this. Everything else shouldn't need much tungsten stick out, but that one will. So I'll show you guys that. Anyways, just want to show you guys some of the settings. I know some of you guys ask, and yeah, just little things help sometimes, helps stabilize the puddle. So we get to welding. So a couple of days have gone by since I last filmed. I hate doing this to you guys, but I did get a lot of progress made and I didn't film it yet. I was just waiting to film it because they are kind of hard. These last couple bars that I've done were kind of hard to do, and so I was just trying to really focus on them and not mess them up, but I will explain how I did them all to you guys. I did get the halo made. That's this bar up here that comes off of the main hoop and goes up and around and back to the other side. I did get both down bars made on both sides, They tuck up in there really nice and tight. You can't really see them from the side. Kind of like how tight they are. And I also did get this part, the right side of the funny car hoop made. It was quite an ordeal fitting this piece up. I was working on that today. And yeah, I just want to show you guys a couple little tricks, I guess, especially with these down bars, because it is kind of a little complicated. But what I'm going to do is just add a little freeze frame here, right here. I'm going to add in freeze frame and just show you guys some of the trig that helped me figure out these angles and how long everything needed to be. So how I like to do it is I like to measure from the center of the bend to the center of the bend. This makes it easier to figure out exactly where your bend is going to start, because you can mark it on the pipe. I'll show you guys that here in just a second. This little tool that Sean made, or most people make with their bender, they basically take every inch measurement, go all the way around the pipe, mark it all the way around the pipe with a marker, and then bend to 90. And so that way you know how much material is eaten up by a 90-degree bend. So on his bender, 11 inches is taken up on a 90-degree bend. So that means if you were to figure out how many degrees you have per inches, you just would divide 90 degrees by 11 inches, and that gives you every 1 inch is 8 degrees. So if you have some weird odd angle, which you're probably going to, on some of these, I had a 49-degree angle in the middle there, and then a 33-degree angle. I can figure out based off my degrees. So all I would do is say my angle is 49 degrees. I take 49 and divide it by my 8 degrees, because I know 8 degrees is 1 inch, and that gives me how much material I need just for that degree of a bend. So there's a little bit of things that you can figure it out, and it's easier for me to just calculate it like that instead of like guessing and checking. So let's go back. So once we draw these lines here, you can figure out the measurements from each thing. So if you know two sides of a triangle, that means you can figure out the third side, and you can figure out any angle in that as well. So all you got to do is basically get two measurements. They don't have to be perfect, they just have to be rough. I put a bar up in the pillar to get my my other side, and my hypotenuse is the actual like center to center bend on that one. So it makes sense. You just have to kind of simplify it a little bit and just break it down into what it is, and it makes the down bars and everything else that has like a compound bend really simple, because you can plot it all out on the actual bar itself. How I do it, so right here, right, this is my down bar. So up here in this, the upper angle was 33 degrees. I know it's going to take 4 1/8 inches of material in that bend. So that means I had a measurement from my hoop to the center of the bend of 6 inches. I left a little like 2 inches long there. But so to figure out where my bend actually needs to start, I need to actually subtract half of this, because since I measured from the center of my bend, I'm gonna start back half of what my bend is actually gonna eat up. So I actually need to start my bend at 3 15/16. And I got that number by taking this 4 1/8, which is half of it is 2 1/16. And I subtracted that from 6, and I got my 3 15/16. And then I know my center of the bend is 6 inches, and then I just marked this just for fun to make sure I'm right, but the last part of my bend should have been 8 1/16. And then I know, so I have to actually subtract half of this bend up here, and then half of this bend here from this 27, because it's the center of my bend. So I'm gonna take 27 minus the 2 1/16 and 27 minus 3 1/16, because my overall here, when I calculated it out for my 49-degree angle, was 6 1/8 of an inch actual material. So that gives me, once I get all that, like these halves subtracted from this, I just add this to my last number. So I'm making marks on a straight pipe, and then I go to bend it. So then now my other bend will start at 29 15/16. The center line of it will be 33 inches. And then the end of the bend will be 36 1/16. And then from the center of the bend down, I needed 23 inches. So again, I took half of this number, because that's what the bend is going to eat up. So I took 23 minus a 16th, and I added it to my last number, because as you're going on the pipe, you have to add from the last thing. So this basically plots out on the pipe exactly where you're going to bend it, where the bends are going to start and stop, and exactly how long it needs to be. So that makes it a lot easier when you're working with these compound angles. I hope that wasn't too confusing for y'all. It is going to be pretty long. I wish I had a piece of pipe to show you. If this makes it easier to show you, you can see my marks here. This was the center of my bend, the end of my bend, and then from here, from the center of this bend to the center of this bend over here, you can see the marks. This is 27 inches here, and then this is where my bend starts, this is where my bend ends, and then it comes down into the floor just like that. I hope that makes sense to some of you guys. What has been helping me a lot with this, instead of just trying to guess and like plot it out on a table or a big piece of cardboard the way Sean does it, is basically like, the way he does it is basically like guessing and checking, where you can calculate it, you just have to think about it a little bit and break it up into triangles. So I hope you all are familiar with trig. It's pretty easy. So remember, sine is just the opposite over the hypotenuse, cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse, and then tangent is opposite over adjacent. And so you can use the inverse functions to actually find the angles. So I hope that wasn't too much math for you guys. It's gonna get pretty technical. Now let's get to bending. I have a couple more bars I need to make. The next bar I'm gonna be working on is this bar that comes here up top. I have to add 1 bar, and then also later on I can do this, but I have to add a little like 1-inch pieces that come in here to actually contain the helmet. But so right now I am gonna be working on this bar up here, and then I'm gonna be figuring out in the book what I need to do so I can drop this down and weld it all in place, and then I'm gonna paint the tops of it and then put it back up and then work on the door bars and move on slowly. So I'm just about to get out of here for tonight. Just wanted to show you guys the progress on the funny car hoop. Now, the book actually only calls for a bar this big, and then all these other pieces are just pieces where the helmet supposedly like just can't fit through, and normally this is supposed to be 3/4 inch, but I used 1.25 inch just to add some strength there, and just to makes me feel a little bit better about it. So I got these fit in there really nice. They're all good, they're all squared, nice and tight fit. They just slide in there really easy, so makes it all nice. This top one is a little tighter, but I'm gonna go ahead and weld these up, or not weld them, I'm gonna tack them up, and I'm gonna get out of here for tonight. They're working inside, so I thought I'd do this intro out in the truck while I wait for it to warm up. Man, what a day it has been. So this video right now, it is 9:15. It's 9:16, and I'm just about to head home. I got a 30-minute drive home, and then I'll be editing the rest of this video for you guys. So this is just where, I don't know, we'll just talk some stuff I hate talking about, but the goal is April 4th, Cletus and Cars. Now I have this really hard thing with failure and just giving up, and it's been bothering me for the past couple days, and it's just frustrating at times because like this stuff just takes a lot of time, and like I'm putting a lot of time into it, and it just feels like I never get done what I need to get done and what I want to get done. And just one of those things, like, you ever try to fit a puzzle piece in where it doesn't belong? It's kind of how I've felt for the past couple months doing YouTube. I just feel like I've been trying to force things and it just doesn't really seem to work. So kind of just at like a, I don't know, I hate talking, I don't know, I just hate, like I'm not, I hate talking about stuff like this, but right now I'm pretty frustrated. I'm just thinking in 3 weeks the cars have got to be ready, got to have the cage done, whole turbo setup, all the motor mounts, all the safety stuff, seat, harness, helmet, like parachute, window net, like all this stuff, and it just sits here in my brain. I'm sitting here thinking about it, and I'm just thinking, I just don't know how I'm gonna get it to work. So that's where I'm at. I think tomorrow, just to make these, just to kind of show you guys what my day is like, I think I'm gonna do a full day vlog. Even if I don't get much done, I'm gonna post it just so you guys can kind of get an understanding of like a day in the life of what we do, you know, like us YouTubers. So I don't know, I'm hustling, I'm trying to work, I'm hustling, I'm doing it for you guys. It's just, man, I feel like I've just been running on empty for months now, and it just doesn't really seem like it's paying off yet. So I know sometime it will pay off, but for now it just seems like a pipe dream. So I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna edit this video for you guys. Tomorrow I will do a full day of vlog instead of a 4 to 5 day video on stuff I've done, because the progress is really slow and I hate making videos for you guys and not showing you guys progress. So but tomorrow I think it'd be kind of cool, even if it's a 5-minute video, 10-minute video, just showing the little things to do every day that seems to take a lot of time. So thank y'all for watching. If you want a t-shirt, go get a t-shirt, go check them out. I think I have some mediums left over that I'm selling for 20 bucks on my website of the old t-shirts. So if you've been wanting one and you wear a medium, go get them. I think I have like 4 or 5 of those. So I was just going through inventory and found them. Anyways, that's all folks, that's all I got for you. See you tomorrow.